students being enrolled in the university and we have to provide the latest IT and ICT programs will help our students for the future in terms of AI, big data, and so on. All these programs should be available for students who are going to really be equipped for the future. After that, a university should be able to provide the right training, the skills needed. Now, it's not about the degrees itself, but it's more about the skills that the students will have. After that, here I would also like to share with you the significance of what do the students do when they say they learn the latest skills and knowledge in terms of IT and so on. And I would like to add that it is very important. When I looked at the title of the webinar, I was very happy because I tried to look at it in a different way and read it in a different way, and in terms of investing in information technology and various virtual reality platforms. And yes, we need to provide that for our students. We need to provide that for our staff. And we did. I mean, the university invested in latest platforms, speedy ones, and so on. We are using Blackboard and Teams, and we are providing training for our staff and so on. But also, I think it's very important that a university start looking at using these endeavors to start its own innovation in these lines. And excuse me. Here also, we had started what we call the Business Incubator Center at the university that supports our students and alumni, faculty and staff who have innovative ideas and inventions to create and grow businesses and startups through ideal entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial environment with a strong interinstitutional partnership with other ecosystem enablers. This is very important. So the students, you utilize what they have learned and you allow them to even expand, and not only that, but to create and be innovative. So I think that is very important, and it's complete the cycle of the knowledge you give the students and your staff, the training, and then of course the opportunity to expand and to be to have an impact on, let's say, on creativity and also on the economy. This center plans and programs are focused on contributing to Bahrain Economic Vision 2030 through nurturing innovation and supporting entrepreneur-driven ventures at the university in line with the changing demand on new information and communication technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data sciences. So this is what we are trying to do. We have a lot of these details that I'll be more than happy to share with you. But again, it is very important that we allow our students to grow outside just the curriculum, and also our staff, of course, but to have something of value for the economy and society. I will stop for now, but I'll be more than happy to interact and answer the questions in this regards. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Professor Riyad. If I may just comment, I particularly liked the way you used the terms creativity and using information technology to achieve that, and also the way you related it to the economy and back to activities which universities were all probably doing anyway with regard to preparing people for work If we put that in the context of the fourth industrial revolution and the opportunities that are coming up through that, maybe, although we didn't want COVID, we are using well some of the things that COVID has forced us to do. So thank you very much indeed for sharing with us your approach. And I'm sure there will be several questions asking you to follow up how you have done it. Our next speaker is Professor Assam Al-Qadi, who is president of Alexandria University in Egypt.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I have a presentation. I don't know if you have some technical support to share the screen, or I can speak without the presentation to show on the screen. So
there is a green button at the bottom of your Zoom screen which says share screen. If you press that,
I did.
You should find that your presentation will come up. If
this is okay, no problem. I can speak without the presentation. Okay, that's fine, because I think the host should allow me to do that, but it's not. It's disabled. So.
Sir, you can share your presentation. Just a minute.
Okay, no problem. I will speak without the. Okay, I can see it. Okay, I have a presentation titled IT Innovations for Education, Post-COVID Successful Practice. In Alexandria University, we started back in 2016 to have a strategy for educational process improvement and digital transformation. So before COVID-19, with the 3 years, we started to change some of our courses and our evaluation to digital evaluation. So also we put a strategy for assessment and put standardizations for our staff members and training our staff members to use the online tools to deliver courses and to interact with our students. So in order to improve our educational system, we have to improve our course itself. We monitoring the procedures of the development of the courses, and monitoring also the performance of our students and our staff members. So we reform administrative committee to look for the improvement of the education and to see the students a fair process by removing financial and time wastes. So we had and we still have programs for our faculty members for training how to use the learning management system to deliver the materials to our students. Assistants, we have almost 10,000 faculty members and their assistants. So by COVID-19, we faced many challenges actually. We have different platforms and tools are used by faculty members. So in different faculties, not all faculties were trained to use these platforms and tools. New operation model for the students. Students used to sit in class face-to-face with the professors and get the lectures, but this is a new system and a new type of education for our students, so that was a big challenge. The online assessment as well, it's a challenge for both, for the faculty members and our students. The examination, the methodology of the examination and the tools. Other challenges like the internet capacity, data center, and the storage capacity. So we faced actually many challenges with COVID-19. During the semester, we have to deliver 7,500 courses. Have been transferred from traditional face-to-face operation to online operation through the following phases. First one, we have to choose the platforms. Second one, interactive content preparation and delivery. The third one, distant formative and summative assessment. So the fourth one, which is the important one, the faculty member and the faculty staff training. So A distance learning committee has been formed to select the best tools and the platforms for post-COVID operations for content preparation, content delivery and sharing, synchronized and asynchronized interaction, formative and summative assessment, and educational operation administration and quality monitoring. The platforms and the tools selection, we have to have the content preparation like PowerPoint with voiceover, content delivery like Microsoft Teams, Google Meeting and Zoom, file sharing, OneDrive also, Google Drive, a synchronized learning platform like Moodle, Google Classroom in some faculties, formative and summative assessment, research projects, online exams, open book are among methods used with Office 365, G Suite and Model as enabling tools. Educational operation administration and quality monitoring, virtual exams committee were formed as well. So regarding the faculty staff training, the distance training over the internet using Microsoft Teams and Google Meetings, and that was a big challenge also. TOT for selected faculty members from every college and then disseminate training in every college. So we have to select some professors and some faculty members. So we start workshops for almost 4,000 faculty members to perform 7,500 coursing during the second semester. So we have statistics for how many, the final assessment for a student, how many doing research and open book and online. So we have almost 27 of our exams were research. We have 66 were open book, and we have 7% online exams. The IT solution for final exams, we used Office 365, Moodle, and G Suite. And we have some examples of the white courses, examinations all over the faculties in Alexandria University. For example, for one course, we have to offer one university requirements for 21 faculties. So in this form, the student has to put his name, his faculty, the faculty, the semester, which semester, and all this information with and use the official email, the university email. So we have to assign an email for each student and submit this email on the platform of the assigned platform, and then we receive these emails, and then we send the exam for the students, and he has to download the exam and upload the answers within the limited hours for each exam. It depends on the open book exam, online exam, and research. So we set timetable for each faculty of our faculties, and then we have time schedule, and we have to set to restrict on this time schedule. So the conclusion is early planning is essential for switching the methodology of teaching from face-to-face to online. Standardized platforms and tools with integration in mind. Faculty development program. So we have the time now for the new semester to develop the courses for our students and to be ready for the coming semester, because we don't expect that we will not have Corona. We'll have Corona at least for one more academic year. Monitoring and assessment for continuous improvement. Document and dissemination and disseminate best practice. That's it, and I'm ready for any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. I think you gave us there a very clear, logical plan, and for such a large university to respond very, very quickly to that situation, I think is an amazing example to other universities. May I just put one question to you, and that is, how did your staff, how did your faculty react to this change? Was it difficult to persuade them that they had to do things differently. And how did you manage that?
In fact, we expect that we will not have this response from our faculty members. The response of our faculty member more than we expect from them. Everybody, we're together, would like to make this system success. So we were monitoring every day. We have a meeting every day at 12 in midnight with the deans of all these to have statistics with the performance of each faculty members based on the schedule, what they did during the day, and what the performance of our students, and what the feedback from the students. I believe that we had a great success for this semester, the spring semester, and we didn't expect this success.
I just hope that it would be possible for all of those people who are critical of universities because they are slow and unresponsive to have heard what you have just said, because I think you've given a splendid example of how universities are not like that and not like that today. But thank you very much. I won't take moderator's privilege any further, but there will be another opportunity later on for questions to be put. Our final speaker is Professor Maha Salim, who is the former president of Amman Arab University in Jordan. Professor Maha.
Thank you, Professor David. Am I on here? Do you hear me?
And we can hear you clearly.
But there is no photo. Anyway, to start with, my regards to everyone on this webinar, especially Professor His Excellency Dr. Azat and yourself, Dr. David and Dr. Muhammad Lutfi. Thank you for calling me to participate in this very interesting meeting. I would say that I will talk in different tone because I believe that we are in this pandemic era forced to use e-learning as universities, and we were not prepared to do so. And even many universities, they've tried to adopt online education through e-learning blended model in the past, and they were forced with rejection from the higher education authorities in the Arab world. But thanks faced with this reality, they trained their instructors, their staff, and they've done well by delivering the material to the students. But my point is not that, because education is not only delivery, it is the most important thing in this process is the assessment. I believe that the assessment tools we were using during the pandemic era is not sufficient. And that's why I think we have problems. The problems include the mentality and the culture of our staff to start with, that they all think that the assessment is through exams and through multiple choice, for instance, because it's easier. Therefore, I think we created an environment of, leads to cheating, an environment of negative attitudes in our universities. And this is the reality, we cannot hide it. Therefore, I would say that we should focus on educating our staff of the assessment capabilities and the assessment skills. It's not only the exams that will do or will fulfill our needs. Therefore, I think we should, to start, is to change the culture in our staff. Our staff varies from people who are willing to cooperate, where people staff, they have digital mind, and on old staff that they are not well prepared, and they are rejecting in way or other adopting this technology. Therefore, we have to change the mentality of our staff, because I don't think we have a problem with our students. Our problem is with our staff, especially with the assessment. Then to have a platform to deliver e-learning, blended model is something important, something essential and important. And I asked the Arab Association, and this is an opportunity to propose that why we don't have a platform that will deliver, we'll say, blended model in conjunction or in collaboration with the Arab Association, University Association, and some Arab universities to be a pioneer project for e-learning. Because as our previous speakers mentioned, that this era will not finish very soon. I was yesterday in a meeting with the Minister of Health, and I think nothing emerging for like medicine or vaccine in the near future. Even vaccine, it will take time to show the results. Then 2021 is another year of COVID-19, and I think this will be with us, and we have to live with COVID-19. We have to find the ways and the means how to adapt. Then I would believe that we need more courses from Arab Association University and the universities to disseminate the culture of online. And we don't have to say that we are okay. We have to deliver seminars to our educators, to our staff, because the problem with this is our staff, and I can tell. We have to mention another drawback of this online in this during the COVID-19, the cheating and the environment was created not in Jordan, I think in all Arab countries, that questions were answered by agencies, like we'll say organized agencies. And that's why we need to rethink about our assessment tools and not to only with this kind of multiple choice and direct assessment through exams. I thank all of you, but I would say that our universities, they've done their job, but we have a lot of things to do. I think they have to adopt the blended model of e-learning, which is not exactly online education. It is part of the best tool for teaching in this kind of circumstances, but this requires a teamwork of SMEs, ID, instructional designers, graphic designers, and computer people. And I think our universities is still in the beginning of this process, and I always blame our authorities of education because they did not allow us to start 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak in this webinar, and my regards to everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed for sharing your experience and for sharing it so frankly with us. It's not for me to sum up here. I'm going to pass to my colleague, Professor Mohammed Lutfi, but I would like to make one remark and ask one question of our speakers before I do so. The one remark is that as universities, the integrity of what we do is of the utmost importance. It's important because we are training our students to become people of integrity. And that integrity applies to our processes and to everything that we do. Now, I think we're all aware that the opportunities for cheating do become greater when everybody is not sitting in the same room. I know the lengths to which some of the examination bodies have gone to prevent this by requiring students to keep their cameras on and people to monitor that the students are actually sitting there doing the exam at that time. Now, that's all right if you're looking at 50 or 100 students, but if we think about Alexandria University, for example, and the number of students that would be taking their exams, whether that solution is sufficient, I don't know. But I think the integrity of what we do in terms of information technology and blended learning is very important. And thank you, Professor Meher, for raising that point. The question that I would like to put to our speakers is one which Professor Ahmed raised, and that was the statistics about the engagement of students, because I've picked this up from other countries as well. And there are two situations. The first is where students do not have access to laptops or computers, have to share those, maybe, and are not able to engage, which is having the effect of making access to higher education more unequal than it was in the first instance. The second situation is where, for whatever reason, students feel a new amount of freedom, and they exercise that freedom by not choosing to engage. And I wonder if our speakers would be kind enough to share their thoughts on what might be done to enable students to engage more with this new IT way of learning. Can I let you just decide who will go first, or would you like me to call you in?
Very like.
Okay, Essam. Essam, would you like to comment first?
Yes. Regarding monitoring our students, actually we're doing that with two ways. The first one, we're monitoring the IP of the computer in which the student send the exam or the answer of the exam. So if we have the many submissions from one IP, that means that there is cheating for the students. That's the first one. Second one, actually we have program in which we can see the camera in which the students, at the time where the students take the exam. So we can see the students and we can monitor the student and see if there's cheating or not also during the exam time. One more thing also, the plagiarism. We're comparing the answers of the students to each other and to see if some of the students give the same answer, especially in the research, if there is a plagiarism between them. So we consider them that's cheating, or they have to repeat the exam based on the percentage of the plagiarism in between the students. So how to encourage the students to be more effective in the new system regarding the online education? I think this comes by time, for both actually, for professors and the students. And I think the professors more important students, because if the professors adapt the system, the students will engage with them with the system. Because in the online lectures, for example, there is more interactive between the students and the professor, because there is a limited number of students in one class, so they can act with the professor face-to-face lecture. Sometimes we have more than 500, 600, sometimes more of that number. So I think by time the interaction between students and professors will be more effective, and the online learning will prevail.
Thank you very much for that.
I have time.
Professor Riyad, do you have a comment on this? This is on the involvement of students. I think you are muted.
We are muted, Professor Riyad.
Right.
I have a comment on.
Okay. Professor Riyad, you are still muted. Can you? Right, let's go to Professor Gaheri.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, thank you for your comments and interventions. Yeah, I believe that the only way to make able to attract the attention of our students is we are conducting the online education up till now wrongly, because we are not involving the students in more active learning approaches. Meaning, if we are not involving the students, by default, we are going to lose the attention of our student, irrelevant to the number of the participants. So we are in this meeting, we are less than 100, and many of them are making phone calls, and they are not following every part of the discussion. So the only solution is to have a different methodology that can attract the students to be more interactive, to be involved in what is going on. For the assessment, I believe that with new ways of sheeting, that some of the students have very small pieces of assisting hearing aids that are inserted in the ear canal. This cannot be discovered by the camera of the whatsoever. It's iPad or computer. So I believe that we are totally far in the Arab world to do assessment online. And this is our conclusion at IJAST, and we have a very small number of students. That's why we insisted up till now, and this is also an advantage of the small number. I'm not saying that it's applicable to the big students number at the university, that they should be done in-house, in the university, under the supervision of our scholar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we try Professor Riyad from the host?
From the host.
The host, could you please unmute Professor Riyad?
رياض انت ميوتد انت من عندك. هو احنا 10 سنين ولا سنين.
Okay, well let's try while that's happening. Professor Meha, do you have a comment? Okay.
Now it's off.
Now I think you're.
Now it's out. Now it's fine, I think.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. If I'm, I'd like to share with you our experiences, which is very similar to other universities and the challenges when it comes to student assessments and all that. And I think that we also are, trying to find the best ways to do the fair assessments to the students when it comes to examination and so on and so forth. And I think that is why it is important. And I think we are at the beginning of this technology when we say we have to look for different platforms and advance them and create more ways of doing this. I think this will come very fast in the near future, to have platforms that will give the universities the ability to work around this issue. Of course, it is not a problem when it comes to small classes, but it's always a big problem when it comes to a large one. We are trying also find our ways, trying to see different methods of assessment in terms of projects, platforms, where they can show their work and so on. But it will be a while, I think, for all universities, and it will stay a challenge for all of us to really resolve this fairly.
Okay. Well, can I thank our speakers most warmly? They have shared very generously, they've shared in detail, and they've shared their very rich experience with us. I'm going to pass now to my colleague, Professor Mohammed Lutfi, who is going to do two things. He's going to add his own thoughts, and secondly, going on down the right-hand side of me, is a series of questions, most of which are in Arabic, and I'm going to invite Professor Lutfi to select from those questions after his remarks and put them to our speakers. But before I do so, can I thank everybody? There's quite a lot of you on this call for the way in which you have engaged with it. The right-hand side of my screen has been extremely busy during this call, so thank you very much. And Mohammed, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, David. I hope I'm not unmuted. I'm not muted, and everybody can hear me. Perfect.
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay. So very interesting discussions, and what we have seen here is that we've all been faced by a shock to the system. COVID-19 and the challenges that we faced with COVID-19 came as a shock to the higher education system across the world. And we have seen different responses from different universities. We have seen remarks from presidents of universities that we've been forced to use e-learning on a very short period of time. I've heard the previous remark from Professor Riyad Hamza that this is what we're doing now is an emergency online teaching or an emergency online learning. And this is what we've been faced for. Today we've heard remarks from our four distinguished speakers, and I will start with Professor Ahmed Al-Gohar, who mentioned or who talked about the eJust University and how did they react to this and the challenges that they faced, which is connectivity, and that we need to be more flexible with our students, and we need to have a system that would enable us to communicate with our students. And we've heard from Professor Riyad Hamza about his vision for the future, which is developing future ICT leaders, so we wouldn't be in this situation again. We have to prepare ourselves with the right people to meet the societal needs when we've been faced with a challenge like this, because many people would say that COVID and the challenges that faced universities with COVID, it's not a one-off. It's a change of the way we're living, we're going to live, and the way we're going to teach, and we need to be prepared to do this. We've heard also from Professor Hassan Al-Kurdi, and Professor Hassan Al-Kurdi, it's Alexandria University. It's not a university, it's a country. We're talking about 350,000 students. So his response is he's running a country with defense mechanisms and things like that. But they've managed to put the right platforms and to do planning in place to be able to handle the challenges that they're facing. And Professor Maher Salim touched on a very important point, which is how are we going to assess the students? How can we manage the integrity of our students? And we need to look at a blended learning model. So universities responded differently, and the response really depended on, are they an old university, a new university, a public university, a private university, a governmental university, because it's all about investment, either investment now or investment that happened over time. So if you look at a new university, it's more likely to have the infrastructure in place to meet this challenge. The challenges that as we said, the challenges are mainly connectivity, training to our staff and students. So our staff needs to be trained to be able to use the platforms, to be able to deliver online, to be able to assess online. But more importantly, our staff, what we're missing here is the ability to move the students' learning experience online. So there is the teaching, there is the assessment, but how can we replicate the learning experience online? This is a challenge that it's not only a challenge for universities in the Middle East, it's a challenge for the whole world. We can deliver online, we can assess, and we'll find ways to assess online. But how can we look at or assess without face-to-face assessments? But how can we deliver the learning experience? How can we design a platform that would be more engaging for students and would help them in learning, because they learn from each other as well as they learn from the academic. This part is we're going to miss this, and we have now the time to prepare ourselves for the next challenge that would face the higher education sector and prepare the universities, either by training our staff, either by training our students. Conversation between students has to be at the heart of the learning experience. So if we look at this, just to conclude what we've reached here is that there are different responses, but the challenges are the same. And what we need to focus on now, what are we going to do now to prepare our universities for the future? Either with training of staff, training of students, choosing the right platforms, making sure that everybody is familiar and is supportive and understands the use of the platforms.
We have to look at different means and ways of assessment. And I think this is up to the staff, but the staff is designed or geared or used to a certain type of assessment. Then what we need is to train the staff to change their ways of assessment. And it needs time, because it's like dissemination of a new culture, how to assess students. For instance, multiple choice is not the only one. We have collaborative assignments, projects together. We have open exam. We have the forum chat, the direct chat with the student. And I think it has...
To thank Dr. David. I think this is very important topic, investment in information technology. And I think this is the biggest issue now facing all Arab universities, if it is not all universities around us. We have really to be pragmatic. I don't like to argue with other people, but we have to be straightforward. Yes, still we have the problem of the assessment, but I would like to raise a very important issue. Dr. Isam, he mentioned one thing which is very important. Now we are talking about this COVID-19, and we have to adapt to change many things. The assessment and the exams, and I think, Doctor, are you hearing me?
Yes.
And nowadays, maybe I agree with Dr. Maher and I agree with Dr. Isam. Maybe multiple choice is not the right exams nowadays, but Dr. Isam, he raised open book exams. We can change the style of the exams nowadays with this situation. But there is, since we are talking about investment, I think there is very, very important element. No one from our colleagues talk about it. Investment in online databases. This is, you can invest in human resources. We can invest in training, in our faculty, in our students to train them. But I think nowadays, investment in online databases is very, very important because we need our students to provide them with very advanced data and information. This part was missing from our discussion, investment in online databases, and really one another issue. We have been in this situation for 6 months. And from my observation, our universities, they are doing good so far, and we have to be patient. We finished one semester, and we hope that we will do more and more, and our experience will be accumulated in this regard. And thank you all.
Hello everyone.
دكتور عمرو كان عايز يخش دلوقتي لان هو هيعمل كونكلوجن كمان للجلسه. عمرو حضرتك
انت سامعني ولا مش سامعني؟
لا سامعين حضرتك.
يعني بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. انا برجع مره تانية. اولا يعني بحب ان انا اوجه خالص الشكر. انا هتكلم بالعربي بعد اذنك يا ديفيد. I'll speak in Arabic because there are a lot of people who are asking us to speak in Arabic. يعني اولا يعني انا احب ان انا اوجه خالص الشكر والتقدير للزملاء الاعزاء رؤساء الجامعات اللي قدموا هذه البرزنتيشنز الهامه جدا والمعبره عن الوضع الحقيقه اللي احنا مرينا بيه في خلال الفتره الماضيه. بشكر طبعا الاستاذ الدكتور احمد الجوهري والاستاذ الدكتور عصام الكردي والاستاذ الدكتور رياض حمزه والاستاذ الدكتور ماهر سليم والزملاء الاعزاء ديفيد لوك ومحمد لطفي على ادارتهم لهذه الجلسه. نمره واحد، انا احب اقول ان احنا عملنا الجلسه ديت باللغه الانجليزيه لان المؤسسه اللي عامله هذا الامر هي اتحاد الجامعات العربيه مع الشبكه العربيه الاوروبيه للقياده. والشبكه العربيه الاوروبيه للقياده دي شبكه مشتركه ما بين اتحاد الجامعات العربيه ومجموعه اوروبيه، وبالتالي كنا محتاجين ان احنا نتكلم باللغه الانجليزيه. انما انا اوعد الجميع الساده الحاضرين ان احنا ان شاء الله قريب جدا ان نعمل واحده اخرى على نفس الموضوع وتكون باللغه العربيه، وان شاء الله يعني تبقى نقدر ان احنا نعملها بشكل جيد باذن الله. نمره 2 الحقيقه يعني مما لا شك فيه ان وانا بقول يعني ان العالم كله وليست الجامعات العربيه فقط مر في خلال الشهور القليله الماضيه بتجربه مفاجئه تسببت في وقف التعليم بصورته التقليديه. اللي انا عايز اقوله ان الجامعات العربيه الحقيقه عدد كبير منها نجح في انه هو يوفق اوضاعه ويشتغل نظم التعليم عن بعد ويستخدم تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات بصوره لا بأس بها جدا. ويمكن احنا عندنا في اتحاد الجامعات العربيه الاحصائيات اللي بتقول ان يعني بلد زي مصر وبلد زي الاردن اخرى نسبه رفع المقررات واستخدامها فقط 95%. بعض الدول نجحت انها تعمل الامتحانات اونلاين، بعضها الاخر نجحت انها تعمل امتحانات فيزيكالي بحضور وبالتالي هناك تجارب متعدده حدثت في الجامعات العربيه، سواء تجارب في التعليم والتدريس او تجارب في الامتحانات. ويمكن الجزء بتاع الامتحانات بالذات زي ما سمعنا كده من الاساتذه الافاضل رؤساء الجامعات في شويه يعني امور محتاجه ان احنا نشتغل عليها بحيث ان احنا نضمنها. احنا كدول عربيه متوقعين طبعا ان الازمه بتاعت الكوفيد 19 تنتهي، انما هتنتهي امتى الله اعلم. وبالتالي استخدام تكنولوجيا الاتصال والمعلومات قد تستمر معانا بصوره قويه جدا خلال الفتره الجايه، وقد تستمر معانا الى ما لا نهايه كاسلوب في التعليم الهجين او البلندد ليرنينج زي ما بنقول. وبالتالي يعني اعداد الجامعات ببنيه اساسيه قويه في استخدامها في التدريس في تكنولوجيا الاتصال والمعلومات، سواء في الاوقات اللي فيها كوارث أو أزمات أو لما هو بعد ذلك، بحيث أن تبقى الأمور يعني فيها جزء كده وجزء كده. أعتقد أن احنا محتاجين نشتغل عليه، سواء كبنية أساسية، سواء كتدريب لأعضاء هيئة التدريس وإعدادهم إعداد جيد، سواء بناء هذه الثقافة بين الطلبة والطالبات بتوعنا. اللي أنا عايز أكده إن هو في نهاية الكلام إن ما مرت به جامعاتنا العربية ليس أمر متفرد في العالم، إنما مرت به كل مؤسسات التعليم العالي في دول العالم المختلفة. وبكرر مرة تانية إن الحقيقة الجامعات العربية استطاعت إلى حد كبير إنها تعبر بالسنة الدراسية، وأنا متصور إن شاء الله إن العام القادم هيبقى أيسر على الجامعات العربية بإذن الله. أنا يعني في النهاية بشكركم، وبكرر تاني للزملاء اللي طلبوا أن تكون هذه الندوة باللغة العربية إن احنا إن شاء الله هنعد لهذا في فترة قريبة قادمة بإذن الله. شكرا جزيلا، والميكروفون يرجع لك يا دكتور محمد وديفيد لابلاس.
شكرا معالي الامين العام. احنا دلوقتي زي ما تفضل معالي الدكتور عمرو عزت سلامه وقال، احنا كمان هنبعت لكم بالملخص للندوه ديت باللغه العربيه، زي ما الطلب على الشات على الجنب. هنعمل ملخص بالبوينتس اللي قالوها الرؤساء الجامعات الافاضل ونبعتها لحضراتكم. دلوقتي احنا I think David we're coming towards the close now. We've just said that we're going to send everyone a summary in Arabic. We're going to prepare a summary in Arabic for all colleagues in the Arab world. But because this one, the challenges that we're facing, as we said, it's the same as the ones that we're facing in Europe and the Middle East. Where the association, the Arlene, which is the Arab European Leadership Network, which is a partnership between the Association of Arab Universities, Association of European Universities, several universities across the world. So that's why we are using this as a means of platform, as a platform to discuss the challenges that we're all facing together across the world. And again, to reiterate, the challenges would be the same as they're in Egypt, in Jordan, in Iraq, in the UK, in Europe. It's the same challenges. It's a shift to the system. We're all faced with this shift, and it's how can we learn from each other to be able to meet this challenge. I would like to thank you all for your time, and I would pass it on to David, then to His Excellency Professor Amr Salama to close the session.
My words will be very brief. They are words of thanks to all of our speakers for sharing so generously. Thanks to His Excellency the General and his staff for making all of this possible. And we have invited you to contribute your suggestions as to what we should concentrate on next. That is in the chat. And thank you, all of you, for participating this morning.
Professor Ahmed.
نعم يعني واحدة هخش أيوه. طيب يعني at the end of this very fruitful and very interesting session, I would like to thank the speakers, my eminent speakers, my colleagues, university presidents, and thank of course both Dr. David Lok and Dr. Muhammad Lotfi, and looking forward inshallah for future webinars both in Arabic and in English inshallah. Thank you very much again. We just finished in time. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.
يعطيكم العافية. يعطيكم العافية.
السلام عليكم.